Alright, back for part 2 of the Punter Show. Your emails and tweets.
Are we taping, Aaron?
Yeah.
Don't fucking say no to me.
Yeah.
I was just listening to this podcast about Breaking Bad. I've discovered Breaking Bad. I'm always late on these things.
It's a good show.
fucking
Nice
good
little
show.
quote from that
You'd
on.
love it. It's
Yeah, my
awesome.
kids bought me the whole thing and said, Dad, you'd love it. You're just like,
You would so
it's so
love
up
it.
your
It
alley.
is just the hottest show.
I'm gonna watch
It's
it.
apparently the best series ever made.
Really?
Ever made.
He just loses it like, I'm about to soon.
Oh, you would just fucking love it. Anyway, these old mates, they're doing a podcast. They're the only guys that have done a podcast on season 1. And they're all, and I was listening to the podcast in 5 minutes and they go, well, of course, we did 45 minutes of the podcast, but it wasn't recording.
That's my worst nightmare. Sometimes he says it to me on driving Miss Mason. I just like, fucking chin him.
Alright, so last week I sat down for my morning coffee at the cafe and I opened the paper and went to the form guide, and on that front page of the tab form guide and the telly there's, Ray Thomas, Simon Thomas, tips, race, and there's that big box there that says other venues today.
And I did see that photo. That was
there's
sensational.
Like fucking 40 venues, of which 30 are overseas. We're talking Uruguay, Chile,
Yep.
England, Ireland, everything right. And I just posted, I said, what do you think of this? I just said, what do you think of this? Just put it out there for the punters. We had some good responses, so I'll read out what some responses are and then be interested in your thoughts because you've been a bit vocal on this in the past, Glenn. Anthony Jupp, the star of the Melbourne Punter Show, also came on the sports podcast through the week. He said it's brilliant. The industry gets 4% of what's wagered on these meetings without incurring the cost of putting the show on. To which A King, who's quite a funny man on Twitter, replied, yes,
A bit deadly, yeah.
4% of 3/5 of F all bled out of the poor Despo's FFS.
Yes.
Ralph Horowitz posed the question Conception, which I think in France is a place, to which at Punt Now replied, rumour has it's a great breeding ground. Ha 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 ha. Josh Nelms replied, it's a great question, unsure of my first response. My next thought is Tony Brassel has one hell of a day ahead.
That's outstanding.
And from TJ Smith, quite serious response. Too much racing. Captive audience seems to be the problem. Gambler, as always, very sad state of affairs. We don't need them. Glenn.
Oh, I saw your post. I saw your picture, and I didn't know who put it there because
Yeah, it's me.
it was you.
It's probably me.
Josh Nelms love it.
It was just so. The meetings were just all overseas. It was just so sad.
Yeah.
And I went on about the tab last week.
Yeah.
I didn't want to comment because I'll just next thing it'll be.
But they just
Yeah.
they just show themselves as having no idea.
In every area.
More product is not less is more, guys. Not more is more.
Less is more.
Right. We spoke about these tweets from Alex Donnelly, Raw Impulse. So this is from Mark from a Facebook user. I'm not sure who it was, sorry.
For Mark.
For Mark, sorry. Just a question that collectively might be answered. Has there ever been a Sydney Metro race which has seen every horse that contested the event go on to win their next start? The reason I ask is the race won by Yuma Desert, which is an 1100 metre maiden at Canterbury on 11th of May, has seen 5 of the 6 horses in the race go on to win their next start. Only Balmain Girl, trained by Les Bridge, hasn't been to the races since, but is nominated on Wednesday for Warwick Farm.
That is interesting. Well,
I
I've never seen
I
that.
saw that on Saturday because Louis C.K. was down to run. He was the 5th horse to run out of the race, and I just barred right up because there's Louis C.K. J Mac had tried to circle the field. Yeah, J Mac had tried to circle the field in this race that all these winners had come out of, and it was going back home to Canberra. You've never ever seen a better monty in your life.
Even Newman Desert was next race.
What was Gay's horse that was the Arrowfield
Yeah,
horse used to sweat
yeah.
up? It's maiden.
Yeah, last Thursday at Beaumont, you're talking about, where it beat Pat Webster.
No. This long time. What was the horse of Gay's? It was Arrowfield horse used to sweat up all the time. It was a coal. I'm trying to remember its name. It's maiden. It was a maiden
one of
for
those
almost
maidens,
every
was it?
horse. Yeah.
We'll look
Well,
look
to
that
answer
one
your
up.
question from Mr. Facebook user, I've never ever seen it. I don't think so.
If we go back to the race in question, it was a bit of a
Woodbine
jiggy.
was the horse.
Woodbine.
Woodbine.
We'll have to go back.
Well,
I'm pretty sure
great.
Its maiden was a very strong
Unless there was
maiden.
ever a 2-horse race and the second horse come out and won it, so that's about the end of the race.
But the Canterbury race in question was a bit of a jiggy jog. Yuma Desert just controlled the race, but they scorched home. Compared to the day, they absolutely blew the last 600 out. of the program. So clearly that was just some sort of good setup for subsequent runs. But you've got to remember that bar Yuma Desert, all the other runners were going into maidens.
Okay.
So
But still,
yeah.
it's still a fantastic stat. I've never seen any of you. No.
No, in 1983 there was 84. Sorry, there was a race won by Gimmick at Hawkesbury, where everything. Let's say there was 12 runners in the race. There were 11 winners from the race, and Gimmick failed to win at his next start.
Wow.
That was back in the market.
All right, from DJ Punt at #GowiePress, is that it?
Yeah, this at Gowie Press. Were Saturday's Sydney results due to bias or tempo? Further back than fourth you were gone, how do you assess that form?
Well, it was partly tempo related.
I think it was tempo.
Because
There's nothing goes forward fast in Sydney. Every jockey gets a speed map, they all get into their spot. Mr. Murray's happy, no one makes a decision, everyone can get fucked. How's that sound for an answer? It's very true.
So they're very good, very good. Like so race 2 was genuinely run, and Wonderbolt came from the back half of the field.
If you show initiative in Sydney racing, you'll be dragged before the stewards saying, what have you done there?
Yeah, you just got to get into formation.
Yeah, you've got to be in formation.
But to the question, how do you assess the form moving forward?
Well, it's all right. You obviously recognise that horses that are up on the speed in slowly run races got some sort of advantage because of the tempo, not because of the bias, because of the tempo.
Yeah.
And when the tempo was on,
Well, Rodriguez came from well back. He came from about 8th or 9th.
well, he was actually rails handy midfield. He was about 6th. He got shuffled back a bit.
Yeah, I remember that. But he stayed there.
He just stuck there.
I think going forward, the best way to assess any form and any track is to nominate what were the PRs in the day and to be hard against them at the next start.
Yeah.
And look for angles,
That's right. In fact, we shouldn't have horses to follow. We should have horses to lay.
New segment of this.
Very good. All right, from Danny Jackson. In Mark's opinion, I would like Mark's opinion on why a so-called rain-affected track or affected track can still produce fast times and results in horses supposedly not being able to handle the conditions and win, i.e. that's a good idea.
Well, they've run 63. It clearly wasn't rain affected. It was a stewards track, because what happens with the stewards is that they see rain during a meeting and they just feel compelled to downgrade the track. That was a fast track. In fact, that track should have started as a 1 and maybe got to a 3 instead of going from a 3 to a 5. There was a meeting on Melbourne Cup Day last year when pretty much the same thing happened. Remember, it was light rain throughout the day.
Yeah.
The stewards just kept downgrading the track because they thought, well, it's raining, so we've got to downgrade the track. Ratings to win, they analyse every meeting and they proclaim the track condition according to their analysis, and they've got that track on Melbourne Cup Day as good. Just like you probably should look at the results on Saturday as good and ignore the stewards rating, because they're not looking at times. In fact, they changed all the grading system was changed so that we can get away from times. We don't talk about slow anymore. We talk about soft. So I would suggest you just make up your own mind about these things and bear in mind that stewards perceive rain during the card as reason to downgrade when it may actually not be the case.
Right.
Very good. From Craig, I'm interested in how long Mark spends doing a video review of a race, and does he focus on one horse from barrier to post review?
But that midday show, Ellen, will have a new show called Mark.
10 minutes.
You're important too.
10 minutes, and all I do is look at the first half of the race. So I need to have watched the race to get a general feel for it, but in terms of a video review, all I'm interested in is the first half of the race, because I want to see what has happened to horses getting into their positions. I'm not really worried about what happens after that.
You're not worried about when they let down?
No.
Why is that?
No. Because I think that what happens in the first half of the race tells the story about what will happen in the last half of the race.
I must say,
I have
sorry, Aaron, 1 second. I must say, when I'm at home on my days off laying horses in the run, I do nominate where the favourite is in every race, and I watch it come out of the barrier. And if it comes out just with the slightest chink, you'll often find it'll catch up and find what racing position's in, and they'll take less than SP and have a heap of success with it.
Yeah.
So they lose that quarter of a second at the jump. They're a terrific lane in the run. They seem to take it catches up to probably where it should be. Fair dinkum, that is something I do win plenty of money at. Yes, Aaron.
My question is to you. You look at the first half of the race. Aren't you looking at the back half of the race to see if they've run on against something that went wrong in the start of the race?
Look, that's a valid thing to do. It's just not something I do.
Just not something.
So I mean, everyone's got their own way of doing
Yeah,
things.
well, the bloke asked Mark how he does it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you wouldn't believe it. The next question is to Mark.
It's from our man John McLeod in Brisbane.
Oh, fuck. Is this the John McLeod?
This is the John McLeod
Yeah,
from
from here to Mark.
Yeah, Mark,
I might ask one
Hey,
of you.
John.
Mark, a pearl to add to the list. Jockeys refusing to change a horse's racing pattern in lead-up races to majors, i.e. Macintosh in the Grand Prix Stakes heading up to the Derby. So he's saying that when along in the lead, they were just allowed to find the lead. He's been pretty critical of the fellow jockeys. I think around Macintosh might be what he's saying.
Yeah, which is pretty strange, isn't it? But obviously, they've got their eye on the main chance there because we're talking about another Derby lead-up. So maybe they were happy not to put him to the sword in the Derby lead-up.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? When it's clear that a favourite is going to race a particular way, why let him be?
Yeah, why gift him? Why
Yeah.
gift him the PR?
I don't know.
Because if you take off and put some initiatives, then you're dragging him before the stewards. I think there's a lot to do with thanks Ray.
Maybe, but I think it's also got to do with grand finals. You know, these horses are being prepared for a particular race, and yes, they would like to win the lead-up race,
Right.
but
There it is.
you know, maybe the trainer or the connections are keen for the horse to proceed as normal, rather than to actually try and win the. Oh.
Here's the next question. It's for you again, Mark. It's from Glenn from Coogee. Dear Mark, could you tell me why Glenn from Coogee is so excited about going looking for some corduroy pants this afternoon and a brown cardigan? Thanks, Mark. I'm so excited to go buy a cardigan this afternoon and some corduroys. I'm really getting that little old age.
Yeah, you want comfy clothes.
Just, this old cardigan up. There I am. I'm getting away from the Adidas look this year. Yeah. Old Grandpa Glenn's coming out this year.
Grandpa.
Fucking
It's the
oath.
last thing of your life, isn't
Well,
it?
you are a grandpa.
I know. There you go. That's what I'm saying. I'm excited to go get my cardigan and my little cords because these pants are a bit thin and little thighs are getting cold. But and hashtag thanks Mark. Fucking next one. You idiot.
Very good. Oh, we had plenty of action on Twitter in response to a few things we put out about the Doomben 10,000, but here are three I've picked out, and then I'll open up to discussion after that. So the first one is, should Zach Purton be licensed if he can't hold his horses? He was the jockey on Phil Swoop.
Yeah.
And should Jay Byrne be licensed full stop? He was on Hooked. The response to that was, Purton is okay in the homogeneity of the same tempo Hong Kong racing. Outside of that, he appears to have no plan B, overrated rider. And then a follow-up to the Jim Byrne point was, what about the ride on Hooked? 31s into 9s and no questions asked by the stewards. What do we think about that? You know, because there was something...
Well,
there
they
was
would have
some
been
arguments-
counting whip strokes. I'm not surprised there's no questions asked.
Don't have time for questions anymore, the stewards.
He's certainly not an overrated rider.
I don't
Zach,
think- I don't think-
he's
I don't think-
probably- if
I-
he'd come here, he'd be in the top three and probably.
Yeah,
Why
look,
not?
he's had a shocker, but I mean,
Okay, so, he's had a shot. So there it is.
The horse was a bit over the top. I heard was sort of said by the trainer, even indicated before the race that I wouldn't, like, it was backed into favourite, and the trainer was going, no, like before the race, and then as sort of got unsettled and then gone a bunt hook, then they've sort of all gone along a bit like.
yeah,
It just seemed all a bit.
Well, they ended
maybe
up like,
a bit
yeah.
messy.
it was very messy. But Phil Swoop has overachieved this preparation. He's run second in the 2 days.
Oh, he's run like a monster.
You know, so he's clearly at the end of his tether, and maybe it's a bit of the lawnmower effect.
That.
Bendy Baker and
Go surfing, punter. Go
Cantonese. Was it Cantonese? No, it wasn't Cantonese. It was
Sorry.
was that other horse?
Havana Ray.
Havana Ray. Yeah.
All right, from Surfing Punter, this is about Rory Hutchings. Since outriding his claim, he's looked more like a heavyweight jumps jockey or a 3 kilo claimer.
What, they're bagging him?
Yeah,
Well, he outrode his claim a week ago, didn't he? Give me
Right,
So
so
they're saying he's
what's
had a
he
bad
ridden
week, I
since?
think. Well, he rode one, was it Beaumont? What's one of those ones? And he sort of should have won. Oh, it was, and then in the end, it was at Beaumont, and then J Mac was on Rakitno and just managed to kick away. But Rory was trying to not follow the favourite. Instead, he was trying to get off the fence, and he He could have been in the finish. I'm not saying he would have won, but that's the only one
Was
I
he
can
on
remember.
Avanaco when it won? Was that Rory? I think he might have won on.
I think it was Avanaco. It was
Yeah,
Rory.
was he? Yeah, he rode that winner, but then got held up on the fence earlier in the same colour.
Yeah, I can't agree with Surfing Punter there. I think
he's a good
Rory's a
rider.
good rider.
All right, and
And then from A King, is that
from Kingy again, he's back. He's
He's a bit of a slacker.
This is about
I like the comment.
why isn't John Walter on the panel besides the obvious of not having a good head for TV? FFS question.
sorry, Robert Redford. He's not part of the Punter Show. He's just one of our.
Well, no, he would be on the Punter Show regularly, but he lives in the Gold Coast.
Yeah, he lives in. Yeah,
To be fair, he's doing about 18 podcasts a week. He made his own half-hour video, which has gone up on the site today. He doesn't have time for this.
Yeah, well, no, he actually would have time. If he lived in Sydney, he would be on every show.
Yeah.
Would he?
I wouldn't go that far, but he'd come.
So what we'll do, we'll eventually get everyone up here, and then you and me can just sit down the back of the class. Go, oi! Any questions for Mark down here? And I'll be just sitting in my cardigan asleep, smoking a pipe in slippers. That's the end of part 2.
No.
Oh, isn't it? Oh, fuck, no, we don't. Keep going.
We've got another question for Mark. One more.
No, this is for Glenn. Do you think that your advice to Joe Moreira last time he was in Australia has helped him reach a new level? This is after him beating the Hong Kong record yesterday. Most wins in a season.
Well, he goes terrific against the. Against the people of mixed sexuality. He just doesn't go any good now.
He's gender X.
He's good at playing rugby over there. He doesn't play rugby with the tough boys here. I think he gets completely. And then of course, the more he rides in Sydney, the more I bag him before he gets out, and I just get him completely head fucked. Hates me, Joe.
I
But
like
he doesn't.
You had one question, you almost cut it off.
I love it.